Live, 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 live. We are live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and of course, live on Instagram. Hello, everyone. Hello. Everyone's coming in and piling in now. And those who are watching this after the fact, always know that you can watch these live Sundays, 11 a.m., where your comments will be read on air, and we can have a conversation directly in real time rather than after the fact in the comments, right? So again, if you're watching this after the fact, 11 a.m. Sundays for your dose of Haiti biz news, right? And of course, let's go ahead and talk and get into the usual top of the news story announcements. Of course, YouTube Seejeanty for all of your needs when it comes to staying in the loop with what I'm doing, right? With all the content that exists on the channel. Remember, YouTube Seejeanty, you can always go there and, between the hotels, the resorts, the droning in Haiti, the driving in Haiti, the, content related to speaking with other entrepreneurs who have made the jump to come to Haiti, which is a very challenging environment, and see if they can, make an impact in the economic situation, right? A new policy, which is that. So make it a point, if you haven't, checked out YouTube Seejeanty to make a change and do that, right? So all it takes is a clicking the red button, right? And the most recent video we had, of course, was Odemer, excuse me, where we went to a Haitian seafood restaurant out in Delma, right? And of course, we'll be back next week shooting something new and looking to get that out ASAP, right? But for those who haven't seen that episode, it's certainly been well received. Probably my most watched video in a couple videos. So definitely, if you haven't checked that out, do take a look at YouTube Seejeanty, right? Of course, everything we talk about here is always accessible to you on HaitiBizNews, right? .com, Haiti BIZnews.com. Let me go ahead and type that in here into the chat, just so you guys know, HaitiBizNews.com, right? And what we do there is we go to the interwebs, right? We, find business-related content, business-related information, wherever it may be, right? Wherever it may be discussed, and we bring it back. We bring it back, and we switch the language to English. A lot of these are written in French for the most part, so that us, stateside, us who are honestly, despite the fact that there's been a huge migration to Chile, to Brazil in past years, Dominican Republic, America remains still the place where the most remittances come in. America remains still where most of even the Haitian elite go to get educated. America remains still the place where many of the entrepreneurs who are doing impactful stuff come from, but yet there isn't much content for them in terms of being able to get information quickly and to allow them to effectively make decisions. And that's why Haiti Biz News exists, right? And that's why we provide that service, right? So you can get your information contextualized in English as quickly as possible, right? So again, if you haven't checked that site out, you don't have it bookmarked already, change that. Get it bookmarked. Haiti BIZnews.com, right? And of course, as always, share the stream, right? The quality of what we talk about, the quality of the news we deliver is amplified with more conversation. The more folks we have in the chat, the more folks we have providing their perspective, really helps with the knowledge share, and helps with the quality of what we have trying to go on here, which is a mission to empower folks looking to do work in the country in a much more intelligent, educated, and collaborative fashion, right? So again, share that stream, share on Facebook, share on your WhatsApp, and let's get some more folks in here, right? So this week, of course, is Thanksgiving week, between tryptophan, between Black Friday shopping, between engagement announcements, between weddings, going to a wedding later today. It is certainly a very busy time for a lot of people. Even myself, I really soldiered through to make sure I was going to be on air today and to provide, the news stories for at least folks who most likely won't be able to come on, but at the very least, we'll be able to check it out as the week slows down and can take a look at it. So the folks who do get a chance to participate live, do appreciate you. Hats off. And you guys are truly MVPs for managing your time as effectively as I'm trying to manage my time, right? But Haiti itself has had a busy week itself, and I certainly want to dive into that. And we're going to do that. Here we go. Here's the intro. Haiti Business Show, Sundays, 11 a.m. Bring you news as can keep you informed, engaged, and reacting in the most optimal way for your business investment and entrepreneurial activity. Today is the 1st of December. Let's talk. So protests, the first big thing to update everyone on is the state of the protests in the country. We can say that there still remains isolated incidents of road blockages primarily, and in certain hotspots. For example, the American Embassy has seen a spike in protests in front of that facility for reasons that are related to feeling that the United States is supporting Jovenel, despite the fact that so many people want him to go. And of course, throughout the provinces, that remains an issue that folks are trying to soldier through and figure out, right? But I can tell you though, it's really at the level that I'm accustomed to seeing it, right? Where you have these different pockets of protesting that happens that certainly is an inconvenience, but it's not a pay lock level situation. So we're happy to see that. In particular, there's even on the front of banditry, we've seen a major gangster by the name of Seejeanty, who was apprehended and ultimately killed in a shootout by police. So that's a major victory for a degree of security for the folks in Cité Soleil. So that is very good to see that. Of course, as always, whether or not how quickly someone else steps in that void, because it's just not about getting rid of the bad elements. It's as important to get rid of or provide alternatives, right, in any high crime area, schools, hospitals, work opportunities, to prevent folks from seeping back into a criminal activity, right? So that we're still waiting to see, of course, if there's any real impact. But of course, it is a good sign, and a good sign worthy to be reported on, right? Schools have majoritarily been back in operation, right? We're seeing a majority of students going back. We're seeing students taking the streets to get to work, or not to work, to their classrooms, to their schools. And we're also seeing a return to functionality of public institutions, in particular courts and government buildings. We're seeing that they are also reopening and getting back, right? And there's Seejeanty, who has taken over, right? Seejeanty has been taken over by the Haitian state. As we reported last week, things are officially moving forward with EDH technicians working on getting vital electricity sites back online. They are not having a good job at it, because I can tell you one of the aftermaths of this is an increased electricity rationing that has been happening in the city. It's to the point where I believe this past week we've gotten on average, an area that used to get anywhere from 12 to 16 hours, sometimes 18 hours a day of solid electricity consistently. We're down to 1 to 2 hours a night. So that tells you already that there's probably parts of the city and certainly parts of the country we already know that have gone weeks to months without electricity coming on. I am aware that some electricity did happen maybe a week or two ago, finally, for a lot of these long affected areas without electricity. But it is a tricky situation electricity wise, and it's ever more important that those who are doing business in the country that have solar panels installed, right? And it's even more important that those who are doing business in the country that have backup generators and other ways to ensure that the functioning of one's ventures and enterprises aren't going to be adversely affected, because we don't know how long this is going to work. Going to be certainly EDH doesn't have a reputation of running things effectively, and we are here for an indeterminate amount of time. And of course, as always, you have to refer him by his proper name. King Jovenel Moise, first of his name, is going to be here for quite some time. He has two and a half years officially left on his term to rule by decree. And we do know electricity doesn't get resolved in 2.5 years, even if he generally focuses all of the state's resources to improving the situation. It is certainly a situation that doesn't literally appealing. All right, let's take a look at the comments and see what folks are saying. Pierre Paul, good morning. Good to see you. And Pierre Paul says, good morning. Can't say this. Better the devil I know than these devils that had so much chances to invest but didn't. At this point, either we're going to support and push JoJo into greatness or cry like always. So that's really the question, like, how exactly do you do that, right? How exactly do you influence someone who, for all intended purposes, is supported not by the institutions within the country, right, but entities outside, right? Now, certainly, if he is benevolent, and that's what a lot of people are hoping for King Moise, first of his name, is he indeed going to provide services and provide an environment and improve the situation from the macro level to the macro level, right? We do have a recent precedent of this, excuse me, under Preval. Preval also ruled by decree. He did it in a more sinister way, where he requested that his party, which was majority at the time, to basically resign and pay their full salaries, preventing a decorum to happen and triggering a rule by decree, right? And of course, a lot of the things as you drive around Haiti now, from some of the main roads to some of the historical sites that are improved, and other facilities, right, and complexes of public repute, a lot of that occurred during that time, right? So, whether or not Jovenel was going to follow that productive method precedent, only time will tell at this point. Only time will tell. Only history will be able to tell us that, right? So we certainly will keep an eye on that, right? And but certainly it seems as if Jovenel has weathered the worst of these protests, and it's somewhat unlikely whether or not it's going to occur, because we do know that a provisional president was supposed to be announced by the Cour de Cassation on the 28th. It was when 28th of November is when it was supposed to occur, and Mom has, there's been silence, and we're still waiting to see. Perhaps that's just been pushed back, right? So we're still waiting to see and get more information on that front, right? Lamo Oju Obas, first time I'm seeing you in the chat. Good to see you, and I hope to see you again and it seems she is saying, is the calm just because Christmas is on the way? I've heard rumors that it's because they don't have money to pay the violent protesters. That's why they stop. Great question. So I can tell you this time last year, we were in the thralls of a very high protest season, to the point where I know there were several folks I know personally who were looking to come and do their usual time in Haiti last December or so, but they couldn't. You guys remember there was a very large set of protests happening around this time. So I don't think it's necessarily that it's the holiday season that has caused folks to stop, because last year, though, folks, at this time, it was, things were peaking, right? And so again, I don't see that being correlated. I think there is just a general fatigue, and that's number one. These things are generally very emotional, because if you understand what was leading up to the most recent set of weeks that we were locked, it was a kindlet of perfect things that were sort of just bubbling up, right? We had several weeks of gas shortages. I mean, that was really the big thing. I mean, you had several weeks of just utter, because this country is run by petrol, and the fact that we had several weeks where first the state couldn't pay, even though the state had converted it to now that the distributors had to pay, but the distributors weren't getting the difference of money from the state, right? They weren't getting the difference of money from the state. Because remember, they buy it at the market rate from the international market, right? And then they sell it domestically for a much lower price than what they're buying it for. And the difference is supposed to be given by Haiti, by the Haitian government. Through and that's effectively a subsidy, right, to help keep prices low. Right now, the Constitution actually has it where the gas prices are supposed to change every set amount of months, and or if the price between the market, international market, and the domestic price, is changes, right, by just a small window, even 2%. But of course, it's very clear that touching the fuel is a very touchy subject for the population as a whole, for the Haitian government and the people who are here, and so it's gone a long time without changing. And even the IMF, who have been pushing very aggressively for the Haitian state to remove this subsidy, because it takes a lot of money out of the coffers. It was advised to do it gradually, right? So that's the prior history. Again, the history right before this was that, again, we had several weeks without electricity, without gas and fuel, in addition to the other things that were still very frustrating to a lot of people here in Haiti, including a depreciation in good, including very high inflation, including a sense of corruption from Jovenel himself, because remember, just around that time as well, the report came out that named Jovenel's company Agritran several times, almost around 40 times in this report, as being a part of the Petrocaribe scandal. And so you have all these things that sort of came together to make it such that it's been difficult and utter, just folks just being done, right? The PEP being done, and having lost all respect for Jovenel, right? And that's sort of where that came from. Right now, it endured for over 3 months. It's endured, but it's certainly still an emotional response. It's not necessarily a well put together movement with consistency, even though it's been surprisingly consistent. And now it's being targeted at certain areas. That's why I mentioned at the top of the newscast that you've seen protests happening at the American Embassy, amongst other places. But so I take time to express all that just to ensure that you understand that this movement, when it's described as simply people being paid to be on the streets, it's really disingenuous, and it really helps Jovenel, to be quite honest, because what it's saying is there is no legitimate grief, right? There is no legitimate people on the street. Every single person is getting a paycheck, right? No, beyond that, everyone's happy in kumbaya, and everyone's happy that they've seen a good depreciate by 40%. People are okay with the fact that they weren't getting gas for weeks. People are okay with impunity of corruption happening really at all levels, but in particular at the highest levels for big dollars, right? What you're saying when you repeat that, right, is that, when you come in and you see the utter poverty in the country, people are okay with that, right? And the only thing that causes people to go on the streets is someone else giving them money to, and that's ridiculous, right? That's absolutely ridiculous. Now, you can say some of the bigger dizzle that happens, right? The looters, the folks who burn businesses, who loot stores, certainly you can say they are being paid, because this is a small percentage. It's real easy to get that sort of people to get into a group and make it seem as a movement's more legitimate, or to add more pressure. You can say those groups are paid, right, to take it to the extreme, right? But certainly saying everyone on the street is out there is because they're paid. We really have to ease up on that, right? Because yes, it happens, right? But it's really towards the more extreme people doing dizzled, right? And it's not the people in mass, right? Great question, right? So Pierre Paul follows up, says, how about you set interviews with JoJo to facilitate honest answers and direct with us? I'm not going to do that. I think I've made it clear that I'm not here in Haiti for politics, right? And the very fact that I even have to spend time with the protests, I think you've been following me long enough. I don't like it, but because the fact that this does directly spill into every aspect of the business environment, I do have to spend time at the top of the newscast to talk about it. But I have zero desire to engage with political mechanisms here in the country. And every time I have to do just even basic bureaucratical things like renewing my car insurance, my car vehicle registration, that is a pain. I can't tell you when you have to go and do more serious things, right? So no, I will pass, right? But we still, it's still important to talk about what's going on. It's certainly important to bring it back to, the business environment and business climate. And a big thing of everything we do here on Seejeanty is to talk about how exactly can you move past the obstacle that the Haitian government is, right? How do you bridge and make a float to move past it? Because at the end of the day, I think we all identify as being Haitian. We all identify with wanting to improve the lives of the Haitian citizens that are here. And though the government should have that same inclination, at least the players who are part of it, they don't, right? And so it's about having a bigger desire to impact bigger change that can supersede the very corrupt mechanisms that exist government side. And again, that's one reason why, again, you're not going to ever see a presidential sit down on Seejeanty, not on Seejeanty, right? Not while I'm running the show, right? Let's take a look at IG. Let's see what folks are saying. All right, so a couple folks in there. Hello to everyone who was in and have said what's up. We have Dexter McKinney. Good morning. Saying God bless from Washington, and commenting, of course, on how the business environment isn't doing so well. Small business will change Haiti's future. One of the main things, of course, is a push for electricity 24 hours. Right. Thanks, Dexter. You're absolutely right. Right. So to keep pushing forward, we do have Jovenel with a major agricultural announcement on Thursday, where he highlighted during a speech several initiatives and several things that he's working on trying to accomplish during his upcoming reign as official king, first of his name. The first, of course, is focusing on security and banditry, which I guess you can argue he's already showing results, given that Seejeanty who is out in Cité Soleil, was killed recently. In addition to other things, such as a major arrest of Arnel Belazer. We're going to get into that news story in just a moment. But more importantly, he announced the fact that he's making available 282 million good, which is equivalent to about 3 million USD, to farmers. We're lending at a rate of 1%, right? To about 49 agricultural cooperatives, right? And most importantly, he's going to be pushing to start a agricultural development bank capitalized by $500 million, $500 million good, right? Which is equivalent to somewhere around 5 to 6 million USD, right? And the goal of that, again, is to directly facilitate lending activities and development in the agricultural sector. And there already exist some agricultural administrative offices across the country, which are going to be converted to bank branches for this new AgriBank. And it will be headed by the Minister of Finance, composed of the Minister of Agriculture and Planning, and the Governor of the Central Bank, in addition to representatives from the agricultural sector, which has been announced. Now, whether or not this is actually going to happen, I'm not a big fan of reporting things announced. I'm much more attuned with reporting what has actually taken place, right? But certainly he is in a position now to actually be able to execute something like this because of no parliament. He can just do things by decree, right? So it's very likely that this will actually happen. So my concern, however, is that there already exists an industrial bank, an industrial development bank. The industrial development bank, though, obviously is for things of industry and manufacturing. Rather than setting up a parallel institution that is going to have its own overhead costs, right, own questions on transparency, why not utilize a bank, an institution that already exists, right? That already has employees, that already has, the structure, and where all you had to do was just initiate a directive and say, hey, we're also going to start looking at agricultural opportunities for this bank, right? That would be more efficient in my book. And it's certainly disappointing that we're creating a newer institution with newer overhead, right? To me, it's a degree of gagot, right? That's just my personal perspective on it. I think the overall idea of really focusing on the agricultural area, as you know, I'm definitely for it. I'm definitely think it's a good thing, but I am of the mindset of, how can we always do something with the minimal impact to the budget, right? And I question setting up this institution, because in other countries, you do have a bank, but the bank, these sort of development banks, but the development bank is just one body, and it has multiple fronts, including industrial manufacturing, in addition to agriculture. So having two separate banks that exist in the country right now, state banks, that are doing these functions, again, it's wasteful, right? I can't be any more clear than that. It is a wasteful exercise, right? So that's my particular take on it. Let's go in the chats and see what folks are saying. Pierre Paul says, you're gonna wait and see for a long time, because we see that these opposition leaders aren't for the people, and that's why we couldn't find anyone, right? I certainly agree with you. Haiti is a long haul project, right? Certainly not an overnight quick fix. We know this, right? Reginald Jim, good morning. Good to see you in the chat, Reginald. My Liberté Financière says, heard someone saying that the focus on Moise is wrong because even opposition is full of corrupt people. A system overhaul is needed. And certainly, right? Certainly, if you heard it from somebody, you heard it from me. Come on, my libertarian. Come on, man. This ain't your first time. I know you always hear, man. Come on now. Come on. Now, you know that, I've expressed many times that the protest movement in the country isn't holistically focused on Jovenel, right? He is a first step, right? He represents a connection to Pierre Chikar, who did incredible, wasteful things with the Petrocaribe funds, right? And of course, the way he's totally mismanaged since coming to power, right, has aggravated things. Again, just look at how he tried to raise the gas just overnight during a Brazilian game. That's all him, right? And over by, what was it, 50 or to 100% overnight, right? Understand that there is a frustration with him and they want him gone, right? Right. But understand the frustration isn't just at him, right? I think a lot of folks, including myself, up until we heard that we're not just looking to get rid of Jovenel, but we're looking to change the system. What does that system mean? Literally changing the Constitution. And in particular, there's been talk about what I'm interested in seeing, which is, allowing the diaspora, right, to fully incorporate in the political process, right? From being able to vote, being able to vote from abroad, right? And also run for any office after a residential period. Come on. For the first thing there was here. Oh, you can't just get off the plane and run for senator. No, we're not saying that. Relax. We're saying after residency time, you have access. As it is versus right now, I can be here 20, 30 years in the country, but I won't have access to it. So okay. Just understand that, right? Right. And that's certainly what has flipped me, because I am of the mindset of many of you guys saying, we can't, you may not like the guy, but we have a process in place, and it's called going out to vote. The process is you go out to vote, right? And you vote a new set of people in, right? But given that the whole system is so corrupt, and given that the talk is about changing that, because again, if it's about just bringing a new president in, yeah, and it's the same business as usual, I'm certainly not for that. I'm 100%, let's be clear, right? And the people on the streets aren't for that either, right? They're for a change of the system, include at the constitutional level, right? And we've talked about this several times. We talked about how that process looks like. We've talked about this, right, many times. But there is processes in place. There's a step-by-step in place to do that, right? And so, all right. So let me see. I think we're on the same page there, brother. All right. What else? Wiljean Pierre, bonjour. Good to see you. Shana Melil, bonjour. Arak Prince, bonjour. Why you guys got hard names, man? I couldn't put Chuck as your username. Got our boy stuttering so early in these mornings, man. But again, I appreciate you guys coming in. Jay Racine, good morning. Right. Good. I'm glad to have you live. Certainly contribute with your perspectives as we do this thing here. Definitely appreciate you being on. My libertaire financier says that diaspora, my wife and I send a lot of money to Haiti, and yet she doesn't have a voice. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's unfair. It's unfair that the diaspora as a whole is sending $3 billion to the country. And not only that, we're being taxed $1.50 on everything we send. And even when we call in, I think when we call in, we get taxed 50 cents, right? So we're getting taxed without any representation in any way to directly plug into the political system. And something's unfair with that. It's more than unfair. It's criminal, truly, right? So I agree with you there, my libertarian there, right? Original says a true development bank with several branches would be a good idea, including a branch for the cooperative. Coop is very important. Cooperatives are important in moving the country forward. Yes, correct. I certainly agree with you. And that is the way it should go, right? That's the way it should go. Let's move on. Let's talk about the next news story. We have Arnel Belizaire, right? Arnel Belizaire, a former deputy up in the north, who has been for quite some time advocating for an armed fight against Jovenel, and in fact was on the radio earlier last week, stating that he wanted just that, right? He was on. He not only that, he probably threatened not only the Haitian government currently under Jovenel with armed conflict, but then went to the American or threatened the American embassy, and also threatened to shoot up the American embassy, and then also threatened to shoot up a La Caroune, which is one of the larger soda distributors and bottlers in the country as well, right? And which is a very stupid thing to do, but I guess he thought he's an Haitian, so why not? but he was arrested, obviously, and with 7 others. He was arrested and currently is being held by DCPG under what is in effect terrorism charges. Currently, right? Most notably is when he was found, he had a large cache of weapons. We're talking on pair of a military depot, from AK-47s, ammo that could go on for days, Glocks. I mean, it wasn't just a guy with a gun. I mean, this guy genuinely had enough weapons found not only on him, but also at his compound to have done some legitimate damage. So it wasn't talk. It wasn't just talk. Certainly, it's something to keep an eye on because it may be indicative that, the movement which has been mostly on the street, mostly nonviolent, minus a small percentage of looters, may indeed be moving in another direction, but which is also connected to what President Moise, first of his name, has said in his last call, which was that he was going to restore order by any means necessary, right? Which alludes to, well, the surface is against banditry, but alludes to the fact that you may have more actors like Arnel Belazaire looking to directly destabilize things through very large-scale violence, and it alludes to that he wouldn't allow that to happen, right? So that's a new story, right? Let's see what folks are saying, right? All right, we got Prince Shari. We appreciate you there, brother. Appreciate you. Right, so that's that news story. We'll certainly keep an eye on that, as hopefully we don't have many other actors looking to do the same thing. We have Gonaïve airport dispute. Gonaïve has been an area that has been very heavily affected by the protests, in particular because the amount of roadblocks that have occurred have effectively made Gonaïve disconnected from the entire country. As one of the areas that has also seen one of the larger spikes in crime because of the disconnectedness of the police in that area, even them having been able to get supplies. We've seen some of the talks of famine and people receiving very limited calories for consumption in Gonaïve. And so the airport has been very important. And in fact, I know of an associate or two who have used the Gonaïve airport to leave, to go to Port-au-Prince and take care of different things and then come back, right, to get to the airport and things like that. So it's been very important, very vital, right? But recently, there's been recent disputes between the state saying that the Gonaïve airport, which is in fact actually just a really run by one mission, one NGO in particular called the Ebenezer Mission, is operating outside of the state, right? In their defense, they're saying that's not true. They've been in operation since 1997. I've always gotten the important legal clearances to be in operation. I've been registered as such. And in fact, in 2004, they did a formal inauguration with elected officials there and present, right, is what they're saying, right? And so they're questioning exactly why is this coming now and at a time when it seems to be so needed that they're at risk of actually being shut down by the state currently, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. It's a developing news story. And certainly we can say that if these guys aren't registered, they should be. I don't think it's particularly secure that you're having an airport that has no connection with, perhaps, let's just say, even the traffic controllers that may exist, even though they're flying much lower than actual jet, right? But still, we're going to wait and see how this develops. But certainly if they are operating legally, they should stay, because what the service they're providing is absolutely crucial, especially for Guanaive, that's been so cut off from the larger country as a whole since this has happened, and for a large part continue. So I know associates who live in Guanaive in that Guamon area who haven't had gas at their stations going on 3 to 4 months, right? So certainly it's really important that the airport, if indeed found to be legal, to stay open, right? So we have some encouraging news to talk about. We have the Solidarity Network for Support to Business Creation, RESAS for short, has started an incubation of 25 businesses. And it's an incubation program that's supposed to, in particular, focus on businesses with a strong social impact, right? It's supposed to really focus on companies with strong social impact, right? Supported by the Francophonie University Agency, FOCAL, and the Central Bank of Haiti, right? So after an incubation period, there will be about 6 programs that will ultimately receive $10,000 to help launch their businesses, right? So certainly a fantastic program that we're looking forward to seeing and following up on to find out more about the 6 programs who are ultimately selected. And these are exactly the sort of news stories that often get missed in the larger news cycles of politics and the sensational and the emotional that's happening. But it's absolutely important to provide that sort of coverage, that you guys know, hey, there's businesses still trying to operate. There's still opportunities trying to happen, and their focus needs to be on these sort of things, on these sort of entrepreneur opportunities and progress, because these are the only things that really have a shot of changing the country. All right. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right. OAVCT, for those who may not know, OAVCT is the Office of Vehicle Insurance. It's a mandatory insurance for the country. If you have a vehicle registered, you have to register your vehicle every year. And additionally, you have to renew your insurance. And one of the things that actually operates rather effectively in the country actually is this service. When a car accident happens, you call OAVCT, they'll come relatively quickly, again, assuming there's stability and things in the country. They'll come, they'll note the accident. You and the other person will then go to the OAVCT office, and in a relatively quick fashion, they'll disperse you money to repair your vehicle, right? And so OAVCT is one of those few entities in the country that is known to not only operate well and operate without corruption. All right, which is a good thing, because vehicle safety and accidents happen very often, very much, right? So they're offering a new service, which is important to note for particular folks who are living in the country who may not know, which is that they're offering for those who perhaps have fallen behind on paying their insurance for vehicles, 3 or more. They're allowing folks, to only pay 2 years and get current. So imagine if, for whatever reason, you were 5 years and haven't paid your insurance, which is more common than not, especially amongst the tap drivers and etc. You will be allowed just to pay 2, and you will be fully covered for the 5 you missed, and be current for that year, right? And in motorbikes, who are 2 years or more, can pay just 1 year and they're current, right? Meaning, if again, motorbike is 3 or 4 years behind, they will just have to pay 1 year, make up for the 4. Because usually the way it works is when you're, for every year that you're behind, you have to pay for those years, right? You don't necessarily get fined for it, but you just have to make sure you pay. You will be paid charged for all the years you didn't pay, right? And so they're sort of allowing folks to get plugged back into the system because they're looking to try to get at least coverage of somewhere upwards of 300,000 vehicles who are currently a part of the larger body of vehicles that aren't registered to be registered under the insurance service, right? So again, important bit of news to highlight, particularly for those who are in the country and have to worry about things like this, like I do, right? And the final news story we want to talk about is FINCA. FINCA has on the 28th, they celebrate their 30 years of microlending. FINCA is the second largest microlender in the country. They have over 1 billion in HTG wood, which is about $10 million, 10 million USD under management. And additionally, they service 50,000 Haitian customers, mostly women. All right. And they offer things such as group credit, individual credit, SME credit, agricultural credit, and school credit. Right. They offer these different services for these different sectors, utilizing the system processes of microlending. But again, they do offer some more traditional loans as well, particularly when it comes to small, medium businesses, et cetera. So again, they're celebrating 30 years, and they were very happy to talk about some of their success stories, some of the progresses that they've had amongst that time, and sort of looking forward to continue, especially in the time right now where we are seeing a dip in economic opportunity. This is when entities like this are most important, because it's these entities that allow a jump start and recovery to occur quicker and more effectively. Right. And so we are very happy to share that. FINCA itself is headquartered in Pittsville. Right. And we certainly hope for certainly more players like this to start up, and certainly the growth of this particular player in what they've done. Right. And this is one of those opportunities that exist for folks looking to get in the country and impact. Right. Would be to microlend. Microlending has proven to be effective, and certainly there are many opportunities in the space in many different areas across the country to execute such a program, right? So that's the news stories for the day. For the day, the week has been relatively calm, in a good way. News stories have certainly, as a lot of places are recovering or in recovery mode, there is going to be a bit of a slowdown in the capacity of business players to do things, especially as might be a bit of leeriness given the fact that this recent period has been really such a dark time and such an unstable time for so many businesses, right? And particularly when it relates to predictability of revenue, right? Even though most businesses in the country, we have generators, we have high walls, right? We have all of the things to structurally survive anything, right? But at the end of the day, businesses are run by revenue, and if people can't get to your stores because the roads are blocked and they themselves, your customers themselves, are unable to go to work and potentially not even be paid, you certainly quickly see the domino effect that's happened and is going to continue to sort of ripple for months, to be quite honest, affecting the business environment and capacity for the economy to to progress. In particular, the economy will survive as it always does, right? But certainly there will be a slowdown in activity, and I know of several associates who are, for their either individual businesses or looking to start things up, have had to hit that pause button while things have been so uncertain. So the moment that we do get a degree of certainty, I think you will see a very large and aggressive spike upwards, because there's been a lot of projects that have been temporarily shelved, waiting for calm. Right. So the moment we can get some calm, I think you will see very quickly that activity has resumed and is resuming. Right. So that's where we're at on this 1st of December. Right. It's holiday season, right? And so I'm sure a lot of you folks who are watching now are like probably looking at the time. This dude is finished. We need to get back to what we're doing. So I do appreciate those who came on today. As always, we have Seejeanty on locations where we have different things. We go and we show a different side of Haiti. And those of you who haven't seen the newest video, we went to Eau de Mer and a seafood restaurant in Delma. If you haven't seen that video yet, it's still out there. And of course, we have a lot of other content, droning in Haiti, driving in Haiti, a lot of different cool stuff we're doing, helping to change the narrative and discussion about the potentiality of Haiti. So if you haven't seen that yet, do make a change and take a look at that. And I challenge you guys to perhaps, find your favorite video on Seejeanty, YouTube Seejeanty, and give it a share. Share it on your Facebook, share it on your WhatsApp, right? Let's get the word out that there is a different story being told. And I'm telling it, though everyone has the power to tell it in this day and age of new media and everyone having a high intensity video device in their hands, i.e. their cell phones and smartphones, right? But let's share that story. So I challenge you guys, find your favorite video thus far on Seejeanty, YouTube Seejeanty, and give it a share, right? As always, Haiti Biz News site, Haiti Biz News. I'm gonna type that in for you. Haiti BIZ news.com is a site that I put in place because as someone who has had to hop around several dozen websites to find Haiti related news, and on top of that, read it in French. I mean, je parle français, tu vois. But somebody said out there, roll their eyes, man. You stop judging me, right? I can read my French, right? But I much prefer it in English, right? And so, and I know a lot of people are in the same boat. So Haiti Biz News literally goes out to all these different sites that exist, dozens of sites, and returns back business-related information and does it in English for you, right? A pretty legible, not perfect, but pretty good English right back at you for you to look and review and understand the business climate, right? Particularly if you're looking to do something, or if you're currently trying to do something. Haiti Biz News is that website for you to stay in the know and stay in the current, right? So do check that site out. And as always, share the stream if you found this conversation value added, especially some of the candid questions I had and some of the responses I was able to provide, from a perspective of a guy living in the country, even though I'm currently out of town, but I'll be back very soon, top of this week, living and running multiple businesses from a guy with an economics graduate degree who I can provide that higher level of analysis for you. It's a guy who still teaches economics actually at the collegiate level, but also giving it to you from the entrepreneur's perspective. Appreciate what we're doing here. Appreciate this sort of perspective I can provide. Share the stream itself. Share this very stream, even after the fact, even after we're finished. Share that stream, and let's folks, get in the know, right? That's certainly appreciated. And as you can see, it's a pretty short cast. I think usually we go 2 hours or so, right? It's a little shorter than usual. But again, I kind of knew that was going to happen because, again, it's the holidays and folks are doing stuff. But those who came on today, again, thank you again. Do show back up Sundays, 11 a.m., right? We're on air. Hey, guys, I was on time today. Nobody give me a pat in the back. And we're going to always be on time, right? We're always going to be on time, right? So, again, I appreciate you guys. This is where we're going to end it. And until we're back at it again, we'll be back at it again, guys. Peace.